Hello there, and welcome to the basement. Last night's episode of Ahsoka was just amazing. Dave called one of the interviews that they watched a religious experience. I'm pretty sure that this was the one. There is so much to talk about, so many things to go over. But in this video, what we're going to talk about is the lesson Anakin was trying to impart to Ahsoka so that she can move on with her life. Now, before we get into all that, go ahead and please hit that like button. And you may as well just subscribe if you haven't yet while you're at it. And now that that's said, let's get down to the business. So, when we last saw our heroes at the end of episode 4, Ahsoka had just arrived in the world between worlds and had just come face to face with her old master, Anakin Skywalker, looking just like he did in Revenge of the Sith. They proceed to start talking. He tells her that she lost and that she needs to make a choice. She wonders what choice, and he flat out tells her to live or die. Kind of saw like, live or die, make your choice. But, obviously not. But kind of along the same lines, really, if you think about it. But anyway, so he then proceeds to whip his lightsaber out, and, you need to live or you need to fight to live, or you're going to die. And then they go at it. Choreography is pretty decent, I gotta say. Probably the best choreography we've gotten in this show to this point. So there's a little back and forth. And then at one point in time, he goes ahead and cuts the path right out from underneath her, and she falls and flies through this red backlit cloud and eventually lands on this fog-enshrouded, red-grounded planet, well, reddish grounded planet. And when she stands up, she is the age she was at the beginning of Clone Wars. And by the way, that young actress, Ariana Greenblatt, holy crap, she was amazing. And she even sounded just a smidge like Ashley Eckstein, who voiced Ahsoka in the Clone Wars and Rebels. So that was really cool. But she played the emotions of Ahsoka perfectly. And at this point in time, she doesn't like fighting. She's very upset over the fact that all these people especially the clones, are getting killed. And she does not want to fight anymore. And Anakin flat tells her, if you don't fight, you will not live. And he wants her to fight to live, not just to fight to survive. There is a difference. Fighting to survive is what she did against Baylan Skoll and then got knocked off the cliff. Anakin wants her to fight to live. So, they are initially on Ryloth. I mean, there's Twi'leks there, so it's obvious, at least to me, anyway. I know they're on different planets, but we know that one of the earliest battles that those two fought together was on Ryloth, and she specifically mentioned that this was pretty much their first mission. So, on Ryloth they are. And Anakin even had his hair shorter, like it was, 3 years prior to the Revenge of the Sith, which was really dope that Dave took the care to, even put in those little details, like, shorter hair, Clone Wars armor, that kind of thing. But, she ends up comforting a clone trooper who conveniently had his face wrapped due to injury. And, starts talking with Anakin. And again, he's trying to impart to her that, regardless of how he was trained when they were just peacekeepers, now they have to be soldiers, and she has to learn how to lead. And in order to learn how to lead, she has to learn to fight to live. We then move on to the Siege of Mandalore, which takes place, I believe, right at the end of Rebels. Or no, my mistake. Right at the end of the Clone Wars. Where Ahsoka is on the Venator after having left the Jedi Order, and at that point in time, Anakin is on Grievous's flagship with Obi-Wan Kenobi trying to rescue Chancellor Palpatine. But meanwhile, and it's even mentioned when they first arrived there, Anakin says, I don't remember this battle. She's like, this is after we separated. This is the Siege of Mandalore. And we got some really, really, really dope-ass fighting with young Ahsoka. That little girl learned that choreography well. I mean, that was awesome. it was really awesome to watch Miss Greenblatt work fighting those Maul DeLoreans. Now, I knew it wasn't going to happen, but there was a small part of me that's like, come on, keep going. Get her into the castle so we can see Maul. I want Maul. But of course, that wasn't going to happen. We all knew that wasn't going to happen, but on the other hand, why not root for it just in case? So once again, it comes down to him trying to teach her that it despite everything, that the way things turned out, fighting in the Clone Wars, all the clone troopers dying, him falling to the dark side, he is trying to impart that it is not her fault. She needs to let that go, so it'll then be easier for her to fight to live. And in order to drive this lesson home, he pulls out his lightsaber yet again on the Siege of Mandalore, except this time it's fucking red. So at this point, obviously, he's gone full pre-Obi-Wan choppy Vader. So those two begin to fight. He comes after young Ahsoka, kicks her in the chest, back through the cloud behind them, at which point she comes flying back into the world between worlds, adult size again. And he comes strolling through the cloud, and we get this awesome back and forth of him walking towards her with his red saber out to the side, and Vader flashing back and forth between Anakin and full suit Vader. Oh my god, it was so dope. And then he proceeds to it, and then when he comes fully out of the cloud, he has the yellow Sith eyes. Holy shit. And then they proceed to go at it again. And finally, it would appear she learns her lesson, because by the end of the fight, she ends up disarming him after he disarms her with this kind of a combination of the move that she used against that Inquisitor at the end of Tales of the Jedi, and kind of the move that Anakin used against Dooku, except where he disarmed Dooku by chopping his fucking hands off. She disarmed Anakin in a different way by stealing his saber and then whipping it at her dad. Now, before we go any further, Anakin did not lose. Let's get that straight. Anakin did not lose. He allowed Ahsoka to win in order to teach the lesson that you must fight to live, not just to survive. Because surviving is what she'd been doing while living for the past 25 years since the end of the Clone Wars, just riddled with guilt over everything that she thought was her fault. And by the time they come to the end of the lesson and she's got the red lightsaber to his neck, she makes the same choice that his son ends up making at the end of Return of the Jedi, tosses the lightsaber away and says, I want to live. At which point, Anakin steps back, closes his eyes, opens them back up again, and he's back to the baby blues. Now, how he was able to accomplish all this is a subject for another video, and yeah, we're going to get to that. But for now, Ahsoka appears to have learned the lesson that all the bad things that occurred are not her fault. It is not her fault that the war started. It's not her fault that all those clone troopers died. It's not her fault that Anakin fell to the dark side. It's not her fault that Ezra got sent to the other galaxy. All of that is stuff out of her control, and it's not her fault. And once she can accept that it's not her fault, she will have an easier time fighting to live. It's pretty much what that comes down to. So it would appear she learns her lesson, gets basically sent back into her body, pulled out of the water, and when she recovers the next day, she is Ahsoka the White. She puts on a new headdress, puts on kind of this white blankety serape initially, but by the end of the episode, she's in full white cloak, full white greaves, white pants, and smiling again and laughing again, and back to being the old perky Ahsoka she used to be, thanks to Anakin's final lesson for her. That things out of your control are not your fault, and you either fight and live or give up and die. The last lesson that he had to teach her was that. Super deep, super impressive, super simple, but super profound. Frankly, awesome, in my opinion. Just like this whole episode. So what do you think? Do you think that was the lesson he was teaching? Do you think that was an important lesson that she needed in order to go on about her business with rescuing Ezra and trying to prevent Thrawn from coming back to the galaxy, because as we saw in her fight with Balin, she lost it because she'd been Ahsoka the Grey the whole episode and just mopey and depressed and completely down on herself, and only barely fighting to survive and continue on for a reason that she probably didn't even know. Now she is Ahsoka the White. Thanks to that one final lesson from Anakin, she has been brought back to the Ahsoka we all know and love from the Clone Wars and Rebels, and she is in the perfect spot within herself to go get Ezra and try and stop him. Beautiful. Beautiful work by Dave Filoni. Just absolutely beautiful. But that's it. That was the lesson. Tell me what you think down in the comments below. Please like this video and please subscribe to my channel. And once you subscribe, hit that notification bell so it's full, so you know at any time I drop the nerdy content that we all love. But in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this video. And like I always say, there's always a good time to be had when you're chilling in the basement.